Once upon a time, in a grand kingdom surrounded by towering walls and swift, glistening rivers, there lived a boy named Theodore. But he wasn't just any boy, he was a prince, the youngest in the royal family, destined for a life of luxury, grand feasts, and endless lessons in sword fighting, diplomacy, and the art of ruling. Yet Theodore harbored a secret that no one in the castle understood. He longed for something far beyond the heavy velvet curtains, golden chandeliers, and echoing marble halls. He longed for the unknown, for adventure, for freedom. Every day, he would sit by the highest tower's window, his gaze locked onto the vast, untamed forests in the distance. He imagined what lay beyond the castle gates, rivers whispering secrets, trees older than time, the scent of damp earth after rain. He imagined running barefoot through the meadows, feeling the wind bite at his skin, unchained from royal duty. But the castle was a cage, no matter how gilded. The king and queen saw to it that Theodore remained within its walls, protected and prepared for his future role. A prince does not run wild like commoners, they reminded him. And whenever he tried to slip away, the guards were always there, watchful, unyielding. Until one fateful evening, as the last rays of sun stretched across the sky, Theodore made his choice. His heart pounded as he packed a small satchel, some bread, a flask of water, and his warmest cloak. He knew the risks. If he was caught, there would be consequences. But the thought of never knowing the world beyond these walls terrified him more than any punishment. Silence became his ally as he slipped through the corridors, avoiding the flickering torchlight of passing guards. He reached his window, hesitated only for a breath, and then he was outside. The cool air filled his lungs as he darted across the castle gardens. He could hear his heartbeat in his ears, could feel the grass beneath his feet. No alarms, no shouts, not yet. Then the forest. It swallowed him whole. Darkness clung to the trees, the air thick with the scent of damp earth and wildflowers. Fireflies blinked in the distance like fallen stars. For the first time in his life, Theodore was truly free. He ran without direction, without fear, until he realized he was no longer alone. The rustling started softly, barely noticeable over the hum of the wind. Then a snap, a whisper of movement behind him. He froze. Theodore turned his head, heart hammering against his ribs. Glowing eyes stared at him from the underbrush. Not one pair, several. The night had predators, and he was just a lost boy in their domain. A low growl cut through the silence. His breath hitched. His fingers tightened around the strap of his bag. He took a step back, then another. The eyes moved closer. A sudden voice shattered the night. Theodore? It was his sister, Ilara. The creatures scattered at the sound, melting into the darkness as her torchlight cut through the trees. She found him, his face pale, his hands shaking. She didn't scold him. She didn't ask why. She simply wrapped him in her arms. "Let's go home," she whispered. And as they walked back beneath the watchful moon, Theodore whispered, "I just wanted to be free." Ilara sighed, squeezing his hand. "Freedom isn't about running away, little brother. It's about shaping your own world. One day, you'll have the power to make the kingdom what you dream it to be. But for now, let's bring a piece of that world to you." The next morning, the castle was filled with whispers. The young prince's escape had not gone unnoticed. But instead of punishment, something unexpected happened. With Alara's help, Theodore convinced the king and queen to create something new, his own piece of the wild. A hidden garden within the castle walls, filled with ancient trees, a flowing stream, and places to run free. And though the forest beyond the walls still called to him, Theodore had learned something vital. Freedom wasn't just about escaping, it was about creating a world where you could truly belong. One day, when he became king, he would make sure no child had to long for freedom the way he once did. But for now, the little prince had found his place, and that was enough.